How does tier 0 actually start? This brings us to the moment of creation, what we traditionally call the Big Bang. But Dr. Gamble redefines it in a way that is going to radically shift your perspective.
In the Tier Zero architecture, the Big Bang was absolutely not a physical explosion of hot rocks and expanding gases in an empty, dark vacuum. Dr. Gamble redefines it quite beautifully as an informational expansion.
Okay, let's break this down with an analogy because this is a massive conceptual leap. Imagine you are standing in a completely dark room, there is nothing in it.
Pure potential.
Suddenly, you power on a state-of-the-art, high-definition holographic projector. When that projector turns on, it doesn't explode light into the room in a chaotic, destructive, violent way.
It doesn't shatter anything.
No, it projects a perfectly ordered, highly complex, intricately designed image. It is a massive burst of data, of pure thought, instantly becoming a projected reality.
That is an excellent way to visualize it. The Big Bang was the system boot of the universe. It was a singular point of infinite density.
But not physical density, right?
Correct. We have to be careful here. It was not dense with physical matter. It was dense with potential and information. When that system boot occurred, it expanded into a field of infinite potential. It was an intentional, calculated projection of data.
Dr. Gamble calls this exact moment executing Master.exe. It is the ultimate software program running for the very first time. And what absolutely fascinates me is the sudden transition.
From nothing to everything.
Yes. One moment, if you can even call it time yet because time hasn't been written, there's just pure thought. The next moment there is projected reality. And it all happens in the very first Planck second, which is the smallest measurable unit of time in physics.
And during that very first Planck second, something extraordinary happens structurally. Dr. Gamble refers to it as the parameter right.
Setting the rules.
Exactly. Imagine a programmer setting the foundational rules of a new operating system. The governing aspects of this informational system wrote the initial rules of the game. And the parameters for Tier 0 are wildly different from the physical laws we experience today in Track B.
The settings are completely different. According to the Tier 0 blueprints, the gravity setting was incredibly high, but not gravity in the sense of pulling an apple to the ground.
It wasn't a downward force.
Right, this was magnetic cohesion, meaning the force keeping all this new information perfectly together was absolute. But the entropy setting, entropy was turned completely O-off-F.
Which is the ultimate game changer. No entropy means no decay. There is no loss of energy, no aging, no eventual heat death of the universe. It is a perpetual, self-sustaining system.
Just pure, infinite sustainability.
And perhaps most importantly for your own personal connection to this Dina, the connectivity setting was at 100%. Every single data point in this newly booted universe was perfectly instantaneously connected to every other data point.
Wait, hold on. I want to make sure I'm fully wrapping my head around this. Because it was a data burst, a projection of information rather than a physical explosion, pushing matter outward time didn't function like an arrow moving from the past into the future.
Correct. If
Yeah.
you look at it through the Track B lens, time is linear. You have yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But
Yeah.
Dr. Gamble explains that the Tier 0 system boot was a non-linear start.
So it didn't just go forward.
No, when the Master.exe executed it, it didn't create a straight timeline. It created a sphere of information that expanded in all directions simultaneously. It included what we, in our limited physical forms, would later perceive as the past, the present, and the future.
It all just existed at once.
All of it instantly existed as available data within that perfect sphere.
It's like loading an entire massive open-world video game into a computer's RAM all at once. The whole map, every level, every character, every possible outcome exists simultaneously in the code. Even if you, as the player, are only experiencing one specific room and one specific scene at any given moment.
The whole game is already there.
Yes. And this brings us to one of the most beautiful and empowering concepts in Dr. Gamble's entire slide deck, the holographic master file.
The holographic principle is essential to understanding your actual place in the Tier 0 architecture.
Right.
Think about a physical piece of holographic film.
Okay.
If you have a holographic image of an apple on a piece of film, and you cut that film in half, you don't get a top half and a bottom half of an apple. The image reorganizes. You get two smaller complete apples.
That's always blown my mind about holograms.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you shatter that film into 1,000 tiny pieces, every single microscopic shard still contains the entire complete image of the original apple.
So applying that to the system boot. When the universe expanded, it didn't fragment the original source code, it replicated it. Meaning that every single atom, every subatomic particle that makes up your body sitting right there listening to this, contains the entire master directory of the universe.
Exactly. You do not just live inside the universe. The entire universe lives within your foundational blueprints.
Yes.
You are not a tiny speck of dust in a vast void.
You are the whole thing.
You are a complete fractal representation of the original informational expansion. You are carrying the Master.exe file within your very architecture.
And what's wild is that there's physical evidence of this even in our modern science. Though the Track B scientists completely misinterpret it, we've all heard of the cosmic microwave background radiation, right?
That's the MB, yes.
Science tells us it is the leftover heat, the dying embers of that random violent explosion billions of years ago.
But look at it through the lens of Tier 0. That radiation isn't leftover heat from an explosion at all. It is the constant static hum of the original source code.
The master directory.
Yes. It is the background operational frequency of the master directory still running, still humming perfectly behind the scenes of our perceived reality. It is the literal sound of perfect coherence.
Just imagine that for a second. The static between radio stations, the deep, measurable hum of deep space. It isn't empty noise. It is the sound of your original operating system.
It is the sound of the universe perfectly knowing itself.